What's up, guys? We're back at it again here. Just to let y'all see, I added a few new features since the last time I believe I've posted. Let's see, we're gonna go over here and I'm going to show y'all real quick the tail blow-off valve, 50mm blow-off valve with a SDK hardware kit for the piping. A lot of people will tell you, go ahead and delete this solenoid right here, the middle one. You really don't have to delete it. I mean, your PCM can run off of it if you're still using PCM controls. If you just want it for semi-performance but more for the sound, then you can, still keep those solenoids. But if you are running a bigger turbo and a aftermarket adjustable wastegate, then that's when you're recommended to not have to rely on PCM controlled solenoids anymore, so you can go ahead and delete most of them. But this car was pretty much kept original for the past two owners before I got it, and then just a few small bolt-ons were added, nothing crazy. Everything else was completely stock suspension, wheels and tires, and pretty much the engine. The only thing that was added to the engine when I had received it was a P-Work Stage 3 transmission, and of course the intake and a couple other nonchalant small things, little PCM tune. And after that, I went ahead and I started opening up stuff and upgrading it to better, not so abused and wore out things. So she's, of course, she runs strong and she's very healthy, and she's going to be kept that way. So anyway, we're going to get back to this right here. When you go to install your SDK piping, if you're going to use that kit, it's pretty self-explanatory. You look at what you have factory wise, and you got a straight coupler, and then you have a L-shaped coupler down there at the bottom. Of course, your L-shaped has to go down there at the bottom. You get some pretty awesome sturdy clamps so that you get a little close-up on those. Those suckers are way better than the factory, which are just like these. They look like basic hose clamps on the other one. You pretty much just get that set up down there. Go ahead, you put your pipe in, and then you have a grommet, and you still have your original hose piece for like what you had on your original charge pipe. And then you just go ahead and put a little bit of something, a little bit of oil around the sensor and poke it in there, and then plug it in, and you're good. Okay, make sure it's all lined up real good, and you may have to slice into your wiring harness here just on the loom, kind of stretch the wiring out a little bit, because this thing is a little bit more bulgy, and it sticks out a little bit more than the factory one. But anyways, we'll go ahead and get back to this here. If any of you are wondering what this device is here, this is a check valve. This is what keeps the pressure overload from going into the factory PCV system and ruining it, and then allowing pressure to build up. That's not supposed to be building up under here. It's supposed to be some, but not a whole lot. Okay, so anyways, your arrow faces down, of course, because the pressure backfeeds once the boost pressure starts building up in the intake manifold, which is connected to your intercooler piping. So, okay, so you always want to put it there, but this is your intake port, and then this is what they call your throttle body port. Okay, and it's like a spacer, and then it's got like a smaller restriction flow going to it, so it's not so much too much needed. Okay, well, what I did was kept all the basics. Okay, and you'll see on yours, if it's still factory setup, you have an L grommet lined up on this right here. Okay, I didn't keep it on there. I just went ahead and disconnected that L boot, and then I added another piece of hose to it, sealed it off with some weather seal and zip ties, because that's what pretty much keeps it together. And then went ahead and teed off of it, and then I came down and just teed off with the 1/4-inch hose line, pressure hose. This is rated for 3,000 psi. This is really good hose. You can pick it up at O'Reilly's. I don't think Advanced or AutoZone has it. There might be other bumper to bumper. They may have this stuff. I don't know what auto parts stores you have around you, but that's what you would want to use. Pretty good sturdy hose. A lot of people aren't into red. You can probably get black. I don't know about any other fancy colors, but whatever floats your boat. Just remember, when these things are under pressure and heated, if it's not good rated hose, then it's going to collapse on you. So you want to make sure you got some real strong hose. Okay, and this is 3/8, by the way, in case anybody's wondering what size it is. that channels up to my PCV system. Okay, so the only thing really you need to delete is your, and it's, I have it snaked under here because just in case if I want to put it ever back, you know, ever go back to factory, I have my pink line that goes to my purge valve back there. I just have it deleted, and then I melted the tip off of that one so that way no pressure can get back in or out. Okay, and I just have it sitting there out of the way. And then what you also got to do is, I don't know if you can see it, you have to get a block off plate. You have to take your original surge valve off and you have to put a block off plate on. Okay, and it's got 3 bolts, pretty plain and simple. Don't mind my little chip marks, that's from dropping tools. That's a big no-no. I've added some hose back there because when I did delete some stuff, my car didn't like it too much, and the vacuum pressure had changed, or not vacuum, but vacuum suction had changed, and I didn't like the way that the readings were, so I wanted to keep the readings, and I put back all the hose, and then I upgraded some of the hose back there because you always want to do that just in case, have some good rated hose. You got to seal all, you got to put that block off plate on there, you got to seal it up, and then just, I guess, keep everything else there. If you still have this hose, that's good. But like I said, this is the line that comes off your throttle body, and it has the brake booster line on it, so you got to keep that brake booster line attached to that. Okay, then you just put yourself a little T in here, which is mine's 3/8, 3/8 to 1/4, and then I have my blow-off valve sitting right there. Inside my blow-off valve is a 10-pound rated spring. The ones that come with these, you have to read before you buy. They'll sometimes put different springs in them. I don't know, you know, if it's different color rating preferences or what, but this one had a 7-pound spring in it. Left this diaphragm open completely while idling, which was not good because you see all that stuff sitting on top of my transmission. Now, if wind was to pick up while I was idling, all that sand and grit would probably stir up and get inside there and pretty much hurt my engine, which that's not good. You know, your car does sit pretty low to the ground if you are lowered. If you're not, you still are low to the ground. There are debris and sands and particles that you can't really say that they're not going to get in there because you don't know for sure, because your tires are literally right next to this thing. So and then your fans pick up, and when they start blowing, they start churning dirt, which you can see on my fans, and then it starts blowing it right in that direction. So, and you can already see what's sitting up there. Okay, and that's gritty. You don't want that getting in there. So, you know, but this diverter valve, or not diverter valve, this diaphragm, sorry, my mind's elsewhere, blows pressure out, which will keep that debris out, unless somebody was being, you know, a real jackass and put a screw or something sitting up there until, but it's not going to go anywhere really, it's just going to sit at the bottom of the piping. But anyway, pretty much that's it. I mean, they're pretty simple to hook up, they're really not that hard. If you start deleting stuff, what you're going to probably have to delete is, you'll have to delete this black line on this blue solenoid here. You'll have to remove this line, which is all the way back there, and it has, you see where that green T is? There's that green T, and then it connects to another T off, which has that blue line you see down in there. And then what you'll do with that is you just delete all of that out, put a cap on that line that was going into the turbo that had those lines on it, put a cap on the turbo nipple, come back all the way up here. Then you'll need to, once, you know, also cap off your pink. And then your orange, I didn't see anything about my orange. Nobody, wait, no, that's not orange, that's the pink that I keep saying that it is. All right, and then your black would be capped off as well, and then you'll have to relocate your brake booster line, which is that small one right behind it. Okay, so, because if not, then you won't have any brakes. But just giving y'all a heads up. But I did put a 12-pound spring in that one, and then it wouldn't hardly open. Even around 15-20 psi, it wouldn't open. So always, you know, yeah, you're supposed to check your chart before you order a spring, and I did, and mine idles between 22, 23 HG and vacuum, and I still ended up getting the wrong spring, so I knocked it down 2 more pounds, and the 10-pound was just completely perfect. Some people say yellow's good, which, you know, personal preference, depending on your elevation, and you just gotta make sure you get the right equipment. Always check for a return policy in case you do order the wrong part. So, okay, guys, I'm gonna sign off here and get to work. So, you got any questions? Just let me know.